How's it going, guys? This is Nick here from Inside the Stands, bringing you my Week 6 picks for DraftKings and FanDuel, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So a lot of injuries happened last week. There's a lot of different players playing this week. We lost Odell Beckham Jr., we lost Brandon Marshall. A lot of surprises have been happening the past few weeks, so we're going to try to do our best this week and see what we can do. So let's go ahead and hop on into the quarterbacks. So my value player this week is going to be Josh McCown. On DraftKings, he's $5,200. On FanDuel, he's $6,900. He's playing up against New England, who has given up the most points to opposing quarterbacks this season. They've given up 28.4 points per game this season so far defensively. I know you can't really trust Josh McCown, but he is cheap. He's in a good matchup, so in that case, he's got to be my value player of the week. The safe player I would go with is going to be Kirk Cousins. On DraftKings, he's $6,800. On FanDuel, he's $7,800. He's coming off of a bye week, so everyone's going to be healthy. A lot of players play good right after their bye week. He definitely has some pretty good upside. San Francisco ranks 25th against opposing quarterbacks so far this season, and they gave up 314 yards and a rushing touchdown to Jacoby Brissett last week, so I'd be expecting at least 300 yards and 3 touchdowns out of Kirk Cousins this week. My risky player this week is going to be Big Ben Roethlisberger. On DraftKings, he's only $5,700. On FanDuel, he's $7,400. He's coming off of a 5-interception week last week. It was dreadful to watch. But if there's anything to look forward to with Big Ben, it's that he does have Le'Veon Bell. He does have Antonio Brown. He does have Martavis Bryant. The offense is stacked in nearly every position. And once he starts flipping the switch and starts figuring out what's going wrong, he's going to be a great player to take. He is up against Kansas City, who is the only undefeated team this year, but they have given up the third most points to opposing quarterbacks so far this season. Last season when Big Ben played against them in the regular season, he had 5 touchdowns and 300 yards. So maybe we'll get close to that. Maybe we'll have 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. But at the price he is on DraftKings and FanDuel, I definitely think he could be a pretty good pick, but it definitely is a risk seeing that what could happen after last week. My running backs this week, for the value player, we're going to go with Alvin Kamara. DraftKings, he's $4,500. FanDuel, he's $5,800. Last week, he scored 25.6 DraftKings points in that game. He's averaging 5 receptions a game right now. And the key thing to note is that the Saints just traded Adrian Peterson to the Cardinals. So it's probably going to affect Mark Ingram more with rushing plays. But I can definitely see that Drew Brees has been liking Kamara so far this season, especially with the passing game, and Drew Brees is always incredible coming off of bye weeks, so any stack with Brees is going to be a pretty good one, and I think at the price, Alvin Kamara could definitely be a pretty good player to take. My safe player this week is going to be Todd Gurley. He's only $7,700 on DraftKings, $8,400 on FanDuel. He has the second most points per game of any running back this season, and he's against the second worst rush defense in yards per game so far this season in Jacksonville. Key thing to know with Jacksonville is they have the 4th best pass defense in yards per game and the 2nd worst rush defense in yards per game. So what I'm thinking the Rams are going to do is just run, and feed Todd Gurley the entire game. He has the most touchdowns of any player in the NFL right now, and I can't see how Todd Gurley does bad this week. My risky player is going to be Ajayi. Apparently I forgot to put his prices in here, but I'll put those down in the comment or down in the description below. So if you want to know, go check that out. He's gotten a lot cheaper this year than he was last year. He's averaging 9.4 points per game this season, which is not very good. Atlanta's given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing running backs so far. And with the whole Dolphins offensive line coach situation thing that happened, you never know. It might boost the offensive line, make them play better, make them protect their quarterback, protect their running backs better, open up some holes. There's really not a whole lot of evidence to show why Ajayi will be a good player this week, but that's why I have him as a risk. He pretty much is always going to be a risk right now, but we've seen like last year, he has the ability to put up 20-plus points. He did it pretty consistently and was a top running back last year. So if he can get back to those abilities, Ajayi could definitely blow up this week. Moving on to the wide receiver position, my value player is going to be Jae Crowder. DraftKings, he's $4,000. FanDuel, he's $5,400. Like I said before, Kirk Cousins is a really good and really safe play this week, so I think Jae Crowder is going to be a very good stack with him this week. San Francisco has given up 250 yards per game roughly so far this season, and he's a cheap play. He should easily get 3 times his value, if not 4 or 5 if he can get a touchdown. Last week, T.Y. Hilton was able to put up 27.7 DraftKings points against the San Francisco defense, So if Jae Crowder can get anywhere close to that at this price range, he's definitely going to be a great pick. Terrelle Pryor is also a pretty good one, but I didn't put him in this because he's a little bit more expensive. So if you guys are also looking for another one, Terrelle Pryor would be a really good stack to go with as well with Kirk Cousins. But because the price is quite a bit different, I'm going to go ahead and go with Jae Crowder as my value player for wide receiver this week. My safe player is going to be Mike Evans. On DraftKings, he's only $6,900. On FanDuel, he's $8,100. Right now, he's averaging 10 targets a game, and he's against the Arizona defense, who ranks 27th against opposing wide receivers. They've given up 10 receiving touchdowns in 5 games this season, so they're averaging 2 receiving touchdowns against them per game. And we know that Jameis Winston trusts Mike Evans, so if he's going to go to anybody, he's probably going to be looking towards Mike Evans first. And I think Mike Evans definitely be a safe pick. He might be able to put up 100 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. And at that price of $6,900 on DraftKings and $8,100 on FanDuel, I don't see how he's not a safe player to take. My risky player this week is definitely Antonio Brown. The main reason, on DraftKings, he's $9,300. On FanDuel, he's $9,200. So that's nearly a fifth of your daily fantasy salary right there on Antonio Brown himself. He's had 3 weeks where he's had 28-plus points, and he's also had 2 weeks where he's had 12 or less points. And the big key to that is which Big Ben will show up. Now, I know last week Big Ben did terrible and Antonio Brown did great, but the thing is, Antonio Brown has potential to go off for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Kansas City is really bad against the pass so far this season, like I was saying with Big Ben, and Big Ben trusts Antonio Brown more than anyone else on the team. If he's going to throw the ball into any situation, it's going to AB. Last year when he was up against them, he had 2 touchdowns and like 70 yards, so we've seen that he can definitely score against this Kansas City defense. So we don't know which Big Ben's going to show up, which in turn we don't know which Antonio Brown's going to show up. So we'll see what happens. Antonio Brown's a risk, but he's definitely going to be a pretty good pick if he can start picking it up and Big Ben does what he usually does. Alright, so my tight ends this week, we're going to have the value player of Coby Fleener. On DraftKings, he's only $3,200. On FanDuel, he's $5,100. Like I was saying, Drew Brees is always good off of bye weeks for Alvin Kamara, so I think another good stack with him is going to be Coby Fleener. Brees has been incredible coming off of bye weeks in his career. This game between the Lions and the Saints has the highest game total and points in the Vegas Superbook, so there's definitely be touchdowns scored. Someone's got to score them, and you don't really know which receiver Drew Brees is going to go to because he's not really one to have a favorite receiver necessarily, but he likes tight ends, but he also likes open receivers, and he'll go to anyone. So I think you can stack Alvin Kamara and Coby Fleener with Drew Brees for a pretty cheap price, and that'd definitely be a pretty good stack to look at along with the Kirk Cousins and Jae Crowder stack. So the safe player, though, for tight ends this week is going to be Cameron Bray. DraftKings, he's $3,900. FanDuel, he's $5,900. He has a touchdown in each of his last 3 games, and every single game he's seeing more and more targets. He has the 3rd most fantasy points per game of any tight end, but he's 7th in the price this week. So for the amount of fantasy points he's been putting out this season, his price is definitely pretty cheap. He's averaging like just under 14 points per game so far this year. So Cameron Bray is definitely going to be a safe play going up against a pretty bad defense. So I'm thinking Tampa Bay should be able to put up some points this week. And maybe a Jameis Winston, Cameron Bray, and Mike Evans, that could be solid for you as well. My risky player is going to be Rob Gronkowski. Many people may not understand why he's a risky play because he's pretty consistent. But he's $6,800 on DraftKings and $8,000 on FanDuel. So that's a big portion of your salary right there on a tight end. And last week he was out with a hip injury, and Brady now has a shoulder injury. So injuries are kind of lingering over the Patriots right now. At any point, Brady could get hurt. At any point, Gronk could get hurt again. And with him being the most expensive tight end, it's a risk to play him. But he is averaging the most fantasy points per game of any tight end. So we know he can definitely put up some points. But that's going to be my tight end picks for this week. All right, that concludes my Week 6 picks for DraftKings and FanDuel. If you guys agreed with them, let me know. If you have any other suggestions on players, put them down in the comments below so other people can see what you think. But next week, if you guys want me to, I can maybe put my stack of the week in here, or I could do defenses. I normally don't do defenses because it's kind of fluky and you don't always know which defense is going to do good and which is going to be bad. So if you want me to, I can do that for you. If not, then we're just going to keep it how it is. But I will probably do stack of the week next week. But let me know down in the comments below. If If you guys enjoy the video, please drop a like. Also, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be trying to upload daily, as this is going to be my career path going down into the future, maybe starting this as a show. So let me know what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys later.